My name is Duncan Berry. I'm the chair of the Harwich Planning Board. This is the meeting for Tuesday, April 9th, 2024. It's being held in person, although also being broadcast. For those who are watching the broadcast, if you have an interest in anything that's occurring or transpiring tonight, we would urge you to hasten on down to 732 Main Street.
Okay.
According to Mass General Law, anyone who intends to record this meeting needs to first notify the chair. Anybody interested in doing that? Looks like nobody is, so we'll go ahead from there. So I would invite you to join us in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. This evening we have one item in the public hearing section of the meeting. It's case number PB 2024-09. Sam Speakman of Speakman Excavating has applied for a modification to a definitive subdivision originally approved as PB 2016-22, and modified on December 12, 2023, in order to lengthen the road known as Shelley Path, Assessors Map 55, parcels F1 to 1, F1 to 2, F1 to 3, and F1 to 4 on the in the RL zoning district. So, do we have anybody who's going to address this? Yes, please. Come right up to the table if you'd like, whatever.
I think you called it out pretty good. We're just looking to extend the roadway if possible. At this time, just on paper, for the hope that the land out back, which is landlocked, we have going through land court right now and trying to get it through adverse possession.
Right.
So the goal would be is at some point that we get title to that property and then we can access it to use it through that Shelley's Path.
Right. And so, Ms. Flynn, would you care to comment on the state of the question here?
Sure.
We all have the maps.
Mr. Chair, we have the maps in front of you in terms of Shelley's Path and the proximity to Speakman Way. As the applicant indicated, they are seeking to extend Shelley's Path as the roadway to the property behind Shelley's Path subdivision. And the questions that the engineer and I had, I think you've raised in terms of what is the overall intent. So I think going forward, this is something that we would recommend an approval on with the conditions that the applicant has to come back with specific intention of use for the road once they're prepared to construct it.
Yep. So it looks like it's going to be, is the whole thing going to be renamed?
No, we'd just like to do an extension of Shelley Path to that point, basically just a paper road.
No, but when you get out of land court, is it going to go to, so it's Speak Way,
So
right?
Speakway would not connect through.
So it's not going to connect?
No.
Oh,
no,
okay.
No.
Okay.
So the Speakway is my parents' properties off of Speakway. They have a long, narrow driveway. I don't
okay.
believe they would get permission to add another property through that driveway because of it being so narrow.
Got it.
So there's about a 4 to 5 acre parcel out back that we're looking to access through that extension of Shelley Path.
Okay,
So it would not act as a cut through.
great.
There would end up, most likely, the road would extend through the lot 3, and then there would just be a cul-de-sac for the frontage on the that 4 acre lot out back.
So do you have a timeline for the?
No.
Yeah.
It's been going since I can remember.
Right. Well, since 2016, right?
It's been, depending on who you ask, I know it's been going through with the attorneys for, I would say, almost 20 years by the time when he started to where we're at now. Whether or not it was being worked on that whole 20 years, I don't think so.
Right.
I think somebody's dropped the ball at some point and kind of let it lag behind, but I've been kind of following up with it over the past 6 to 8 months and really
Right.
pushing for it. So my goal would be is at some point, we'd be able to use the property with that access through it. And if for some reason it didn't come through, we would just I don't know how we would get rid of it, or we would come back and just say, this is gonna become lot 3, we don't need the extension. And at this point, I'm not looking for any construction.
Right.
Just a paper road, so that in the future, if, lot 3 gets developed, there's, the availability to run the road through and extend it into that back property.
Well, you've been on the radar since December, so
Yep.
we'll keep our eyes and ears peeled when you come back, and we'll move ahead.
Okay,
Thank you for getting on the agenda this evening.
thank you so much.
Yep, our pleasure. Oh, were there any other questions? I'm sorry, that was kind of like selfish of me, I just railroad this. Any other comments? No?
No.
Okay, it was pretty straightforward, yeah.
effect on anything.
No.
Just curiosity.
Yeah, well, it looks like it's a paper exercise, right? So, yeah.
All right,
Very good,
thank you, have a good night.
thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Now we go to the public meeting section of the evening. Case 2024-13, Eastward Companies is looking for an endorsement of an A&R plan pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 41, Section 81P, for 2 lots at 476 Queen Anne Road in the Industrial Light IL zoning district, Assessors Map 69, Parcel M1. And Susan Ledoux is present digitally. Thank you. How are you tonight, Susan?
Hello, how are you?
We're great.
Can you
thank
hear me okay?
Loud and clear.
Great, great. Susan Ledoux from Eastward Companies. We're here with an A&R plan. We purchased the lot at 276 Queen Anne Road from the town in January, and we're dividing it into 2 lots. It's a 2.25 acre parcel on Queen Anne Road. All of its frontage is on Queen Anne Road, and we are creating 2 lots that will meet the requirements of the industrial zone as far as frontage and area. And we're just asking for your endorsement tonight.
Very good. Let's hear from the town.
Mr. Chair, we would recommend, VHB has evaluated the project, our consulting engineer, and I also evaluated the plans that were submitted by the applicant. We would recommend to endorse the A&R as presented.
And basically what we're looking at is on the plan from January 19th of this year, prepared by, I'm looking at the wrong one. I wanted to make sure that we're, got the right piece of, Wait, so this is the Eastward plan from dated March 29th. Queen Anne lot, frontage at, across from 281, 273, 289, right? Yeah. Yeah. Any questions? Looks like a straightforward
Pretty straightforward.
cut. Any questions from the board? Any questions from the town? Oh, nothing? Okay. Well, I'd entertain a motion to close the meeting. I guess we don't need to close the meeting. Yeah, so I guess we just need a A&R movement, motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve,
Endorse.
endorse A&R plan pursuant to MGL Chapter 41, Section 81P for 2 lots located at 476 Queen Anne Road in the Industrial Light IL zoning district, Assessors Map 69, Parcel M1. This is case 2024-13, Eastward Companies.
I have a motion, do I have a second? I have a motion and a second on the floor. Any questions, any comments?
Actually, the address is 276 Queen Anne Road.
Is that it? Oh.
It says 476 on the,
Oh, 270, okay. Through you, Mr. Chair, I'd like to
Yep.
make an amendment to be 276. 276 Queen Anne Road, not 476.
okay. Vote on the amendment. All in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Amendment carries. So we're back to the motion amended. Can we have a second on the amended motion? We have a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you, Susan.
Okay, thank you.
We also now move to the second public meeting. John Casal, Project Manager for 585 Route 28 Building Addition, will speak to the board review requirements for the potential modification of a site plan special permit granted in 2011, PB 2011-28 for 585 Route 28. Planning Board is the special permit granting authority within the Village Commercial Overlay District. According to the Village Commercial Overlay District zoning, sections 325-51, section L4A and B, quote, "An applicant may meet with the planning board at a meeting for the pre-application conference to discuss the proposed development in general terms and establish the plan filing requirements," end quote. So we are very happy to have a informal pre-application discussion. There will be no motions filed this evening on this matter, but I'm always delighted to keep abreast of what's going on, and it's delighted to have a member of our select board, Mr. Handler. Nice to have you here.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you to the committee, and thank you to our town planner. Good evening, Jeff Handler from Harwich, and I'm joined by Mr. John Casal and Mr. Charlie Whitcomb of Whitcomb Construction. We are before you tonight to discuss our intention with respect to what I consider to be an icon of a building in Harwich, 585 Main Street. I will forever call it Bonat's Bakery. And a little history, my mother-in-law had a clothing store in Harwich back in the 80s and 90s. And it was called the Harwich Connection. And that was located in the hot stove area, that little plaza. But then she turned to her two other businesses in Chatham, which have been going on for about 48 years now. And when the property at 585 Main Street came available, I knew exactly where my mother-in-law was going to go with this. And we purchased the property about a year ago with the intention of bringing a clothing store to Harwichport. But what was more important to us than the clothing store was the apartment above the clothing store, or it was Heather's Hairport at that point in time, right? And our plan has been kicked around and discussed, and now we finalized on working around that apartment so that we would be able to provide workforce housing and not lose an existing apartment in Harwichport. That could certainly help our issue with affordable, attainable, or workforce housing. So the plans that you see before you, and I'll turn it over to my group here in a second, questions from you all. But the plan you see before you was done with an awful lot of forethought to work around that apartment. From the ground level, from below grade level, you'll see an additional foundation being proposed. That foundation is for storage. The first floor, at ground level, you'll see we are increasing our retail space by a little bit. Yeah, please.
Just a question. We don't have copies.
No, you're getting it. 1 second. It's going on.
The retail space will be increased by a little bit, but more importantly, there will be easier accessibility into the building for ADA. We will have a ramp in the parking lot, and we will have a flat ramp, a little ramp instead of a step, on Route 28, so people can access the building much, much easier. So when you look at the design, I just ask, please keep in mind that these are the things that we were taking into account as we were putting together what we were looking to accomplish. And then lastly, we ask for, in order to maintain the availability of the apartment, we are going to put 2 offices upstairs and a little bit more storage. The other option would have been to just utilize the apartment for offices and move forward as the building kind of sits today. But we think keeping the apartment would be a very smart thing. creating a more accessible 2 points of entry for the public would also be very important to us. So with that, thank you for hearing, and I turn it over to you for questions and these guys for answers.
Any comments from the town?
Not at this time.
Okay. Any questions from the board? My question would be, if they're in the absence of anything right now, is the parking. I think that's when we had the development coming in, you guys, I know there was whether it was a formal or an informal arrangement about that very matter, so I'm just wondering what the status of that is, and not that I recall the details, but.
Sure.
The status of that, if I can
Yeah.
recall, was the curb cuts on 28th. And we had talked, so the parcel right adjacent, was all related to parking and the development of that piece. But to alleviate the 2 curb cuts and help with the traffic, Heather's Airport, there was a discussion about an easement.
Right.
And there was something about over my cold dead body, no.
Right.
So wondering, since this is the development of that downtown area, whether that might now be
In play.
in play or not, require someone to pass away for that.
Right.
Back to the old dead body.
Right, the
Yeah.
gold dead hands. Colonel Mustard in the library.
Yes.
It was a traffic easement, it was curb cuts, it was all sorts of things. And so I know this is tangential to you, but I had the same thought. Thanks.
Right.
Well, if it's important to the Harwich Port community and satisfying, we would absolutely have a conversation about an easement.
Great.
There was some speculation of easement, no easement. There was an over my dead body conversation that we had. But, you know, at the end of the day, if that's what's required to create,
It wasn't required when we did all of the look at where you park, how you come in, how you get on a state road. It just was a way to get trucks in. It was all sorts of things.
sure,
Right.
I'm glad you've also had the over your full dead body.
yes,
so-
that was,
Well, and I think the other thing too was, with the increase in vehicular movement and just the density, because they're gonna have a restaurant,
Yeah,
and there were like 2 other retail spots, there's just gonna be a lot of in and
and
out.
apartments above.
And apartments above. So I think that was the big thing, that we just wanna make sure that we kinda like, we're tracking that as a board. You know, we'll deal with the statistical and legal, you know, fine points when we get something finished, but looks like you've done your due diligence and it looks great. And
And you
I appreciate
actually had better parking than the
yes.
adjacent.
And I just wanted to make sure that, personally, I don't know if this reflects the board, but, you know, we certainly appreciate all the efforts to maintain the housing stock and, you know, so it's a good thing. Hats off. Yeah, Harry.
Would the enlargement or expansion, I guess, of the foundation, would that larger footprint interfere with any potential parking?
No. It's not going to encroach on the parking lot whatsoever.
The existing parking lot?
Yes.
But could that space be used for parking if it weren't for the fact that there's going to be a building there?
I think we're talking about a very small section
It's grass, right?
of grass, maybe about an 8-foot section of grass.
Right. Yeah, we're not losing any
This
parking.
one, oh, yeah, no.
From existing?
Yeah.
I
And
just,
then you're putting it there.
doesn't matter tonight, but down the road, you may find that that's something that you get some resistance on.
No, understood, and our engineer has made it very clear to us that we satisfy all parking requirements, and, I mean, we wouldn't be here if that wasn't, if our engineer hadn't given us the green light to move forward with this specific plan, we would be presenting something different.
I think you are. For clarification, are there 20 spots, am I counting correctly?
I think she's got 9, existing and proposed 20.
Yes, so there's 20.
So that, there are 20 now?
Yes,
And there will be 20 afterward?
yes.
Yes.
But there will be no meltways.
No.
Not-
Sorry,
not
couldn't
yet.
resist.
Well, if we could get a
Yeah.
rest. We could-
Because we can really help you out. No, that's good. No, that looks great. I appreciate you bringing this to us, and any other questions? Any?
What's the time frame?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow, great.
Looks good.
Well, we're ready to go, and our hope was to come here tonight and move this forward. It was a little bit of a surprise to me that we are here preliminarily just to run it by
Right.
committee. I was under the impression coming in that we would be walking out of here with a thumbs up so that we could begin construction and get the foundation in
Right.
prior to, I believe there's a moratorium in the summer months of building in Harwich Port. Is
Right.
that accurate? I'm not even sure about that.
It's road.
I don't know. We'd have to ask,
I don't know. I
Okay.
can follow up with you.
And I know we have to go
Follow
before
up with the
historic.
building
Right.
department.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
I know we have to go before historic, but that's
I
on
think
the
that's a
side.
question of the wording of the overlay district probably is the concern. I mean, we don't, inhibit construction during the warm weather months as far as I know,
No,
but,
I was under the assumption that we could not do construction on Route 28 in the summer, in the Harwich Port District.
well, that's what I'm saying, the
Yeah.
language for the special districts. so,
Sure.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
So, and- I'm sorry.
No,
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 I was
please.
just gonna say the preliminary option was something that I had encouraged, and maybe because I'm still new and kind of a little bit learning the regulations, so if that, I think that was my recommendation, so.
Understood.
Yeah.
No harm, no foul.
But it does help then when you do come, we're already have it
Right,
lined up in our mind and can move faster.
Well, that's good news.
Yeah,
Yep.
there we go.
so we'll probably see you in 2 weeks?
2 weeks?
That's what we will do.
Okay, great.
A time frame you're trying to open when?
We would love to be open in November. These poor gentlemen to my right here are,
Ready to go.
they understand, they've done projects for us in the past, and they understand the importance of getting things done, especially in the retail world, so that we're able to catch a Christmas or
Right.
catch a summer. We've missed the summer for many other reasons,
Okay.
but we're trying really hard to catch the season and be part of the Christmas season here in Harwich Port.
Well, let's get you there.
Yeah.
It'd be wonderful to see it open.
Yep.
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
And oh, please.
No, I'm just curious what kind of clothing store is it focused on
No
children?
twins.
Like, anything you can share.
Sure. So the easiest way to explain it is my mother-in-law, who I think is one of the most amazing small business owners I've ever seen, to be on Cape in 46 years in business. She owns the Chatham Clothing Bar and Chatham Tea Kids in Chatham. So if you've ever been in there,
I've left a lot of money in both places.
Right.
and I appreciate that. And that's partly why we're here, is thanks to you. But at the end of the day, there's kind of something for everybody. There's sweatshirts that'll say Harwich, there's really cool kids' clothing, and there's adult clothing that ranges from golfing to go out to dinner to put a sweatshirt on and go to the beach. And just as a side note, the interest of our family is to formally and legally name this building the Bonat Building.
Oh, great.
Oh, that'd be great.
And that is something that means a lot to our family, and I think it would really sit well with Ms. Bonat
Yeah.
and their family. And I think that's exactly what that building should be named in perpetuity.
Terrific. Cool.
Yeah. So,
Well, we're sorry to bring you back a second time, but always delighted to see you.
I'm sorry you're bringing us back a second time, but
It is what it is, right?
We'll be happy to be here.
thank you very much. I
Thank you.
appreciate all your help.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
You too. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
Then the second to last item on the agenda is the minutes from March 26th. And I will entertain a motion on those unless we have any changes to make.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of March 26, 2024, as written.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. we have, as our last item on the agenda, is the comprehensive town planning update.
Thank you. On Saturday, we had our second community engagement meeting. We had just almost 40 people attend, and there was a lot of great ideas, very good dialogue and exchange, so we were really pleased with the input and the level of participation, so it was great. Moving forward, the consultants will begin to start drafting goals and strategies based off of the surveys as well as the input received at both community engagement forums. And so I will continue to provide an update to the planning board just to keep you updated. And probably between June and September, the consultants will want to actively meet with other town boards and committees relative to the goals and strategies, just to get their input and to ensure that the goals of the LCP are also in line with some of their roles and responsibilities as well. So all in all, we had a good day on Saturday despite the rain. And I did have one other question. We are starting our hazard mitigation plan. I didn't know if anyone from the planning board wished to serve on the steering committee team for that. So if anyone was interested, let me know. If not,
Ellen just like gave me the look, like,
No,
I'm on CPC.
I'm
Right.
kidding.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
I'm not putting anyone on the spot. I'm just letting you know.
Right, it's, the position's available, right?
What is the commitment and what days and?
It's going to be from April to April. We have a fairly aggressive schedule. We're working with the Cape Cod Commission to update the 2017 hazard mitigation plan. The requirements will be maybe 3 to 4 public or stakeholder meetings, and we will meet once a month, usually virtually, because a large portion of the planning team are town hall department heads, so we are trying to keep meetings to once a month, no more than an hour, and to really just keep to task relative to the plan.
And the hazard mitigation, what are we mitigating and what is considered a hazard?
We are looking at all types of hazard, whether it's wildfire, hurricane, continued flooding for storms, in addition to hurricanes and other weather-related incidents. Part of the plan will also look at facilities and assets of the town relative to preparedness, whether it's the harbor, whether it's the downtown businesses. Also, how do we interface with emergency services in terms of communication, not only to the public, but also the business community. Another aspect will also engage to look at underserved populations, just to really make sure that during these times of uncertainty, that they are aware of a lot of the means to get help if needed. Whether their house is damaged, something happens, so that there's at least a level of awareness to the general public.
Thank you.
And this also, the hazard mitigation plan is also very critical for state and federal funding, particularly for any conservation or harbor or infrastructure improvements. Having this plan really allows the town to leverage the ability to go after other state and federal funding.
So the big project that's coming for the harbor in a couple of years might qualify, given if this plan was done?
That's correct. Oftentimes, the state will give credit if you have an updated hazard mitigation plan. Another aspect of the hazard mitigation plan is it's a requirement for the town to participate in the National Flood Insurance Program, which provides discounts on home insurance to property owners in town. And so if the town doesn't do the plan, you're no longer eligible, the town's no longer eligible to be part of the program. So making sure that these plans are up to date is critical for the town and for the residents.
Is there an existing plan, and this is going to be a modification or an update, or is it starting from scratch?
There is a plan from 2017. It is now outdated since 2022. The town did pursue state funding. There were delays in the funding, so there will be, it is an update, but it also, there are other segments that will need to be modified, and whether or not, you know, with any plan, you always want to make sure that your, whatever goals or action items that the town has identified, you want to make sure that they're up to date. And so, you know, those things change every 5 years, so the plan will be good for 5 years.
So is there a consultant involved, or is it
The
staff
Cape Cod
driven?
Commission and myself will be spearheading the project. I'm sorry, Harry, did I cut you off?
No, no,
Okay.
I switched to listening as soon as my mouth stopped.
Yeah. If anyone has any other questions, feel free to reach out to me, and if you are interested, great. Part of the plan and one of the evaluation criteria is to really broaden the planning team so that it includes various members of the Harwich community, not just town hall staff.
Well, very good. Thank you so much for the update. Any other business before the board?
Nope.
We'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second? Do you have a second? All in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? We are